When the first automation pilot quietly eliminated hours of manual ticket triage, the reaction I think was interesting. It wasn't celebration, it was silence. It was which told me that it wasn't just a tech rollout, it was a trust rollout. So people were asking, okay, this is good for me. It removes friction. It moves the low hanging fruit work, the stuff that I don't even want to do as an employee. It moves that to automation and AI. But where do I fit in next? So from there, it was just about having real conversations with our employees about what we were really trying to do. And the way we positioned it was we really saw AI and automation as a way to humanize our work with our customers more. Because if we could automate the simple things and we could augment the simple things using AI, then it allows us to retool, reskill our team and get them more consultative with our customers so we can do much more interesting work and really help them in the areas of identifying their chores, understanding what their processes are, things that MSPs typically don't do or historically haven't done.
I'm Felicia Shakiba, and this is LeaderbookAI, AI, where we solve a business challenge in every episode. How do you lead an AI automation shift without triggering fear, losing trust, or stalling execution, while still delivering measurable results and value? Glenn, we are very excited to have you. You are the CEO of Integris, and we're going to talk about AI transformation today. So, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
When you first stepped into Integris and knew AI and automation would matter, what was the first thing that you did to really learn where you should even start?
Yeah, that's a great question. It certainly didn't start with the tools. I think a lot of people think that from an AI perspective, it's all about the bits and the bytes and fancy applications and systems, but it really starts with workflows. And so, what I did is I started where it really matters, which is where are the human efforts being spent on repeatable, low value tasks, things that we coin chores, and then how can we automate those? And so, where are we solving the same problem 50 times or 100 times in our environment, which we do probably every day? And then I listen to frontline engineers and the service teams, the people that are closest to the customers, the ones that understand and know what the customers need better than anyone else. MSPs are certainly a gold mine of process data, from tickets to from alerting, escalations, a lot of compliance tasks. And those things actually tell you exactly where the automation belongs. So it was really more about understanding what processes were costly, what processes were repeatable, and how can we automate those. So an AI strategy shouldn't begin really in the lab. It really begins in the trenches with the people and the team and the customers and the work that they're doing.
And I love that you called that out because it's, I think, a misconception to start with the tools. And really, it's about the people and where are we spending time. And I think that was a really great call
Yeah,
out. Yeah. So you
yeah,
talked about having conversations early with customers. Did you talk to
yeah.
employees too? What did those conversations reveal that challenged your original assumptions?
Yeah, it was, we did speak to both. So we actually had a outside firm come in and help us with formulating conversations and questions with our customers, helping them understand what chores they had in their environment that we could apply AI and automation to. And we spoke to like 65 customers. We got a lot of great information. We did it by vertical, so we were segmenting customers, and every vertical is a little different. What matters to them? What are some of their chores are different to others? So definitely did spend a lot of time with customers. And I assumed going into those conversations with the customers that they push hardest for cutting edge AI, but instead they really wanted predictability. They wanted more security. They wanted fewer disruptions. They didn't really understand what AI could bring to their environment. They didn't understand how to find the chores in their environment. And employees, it was similar. It was how could we remove friction, and how could we create an environment where it was easy for them to support our customers. Our employees aren't looking for AI magic. They wanted relief from the noise. They wanted relief from ticket overload. Like I said, they wanted relief from the friction that comes in the way of utilizing monolithic old tools and supporting their customers. And likewise, the customer wanted friction gone as well. So that reframed everything. And it wasn't overly sophisticated tools and systems that were required to do that. It was a lot more simplicity. AI wasn't going to be about sophistication, is what I learned through all that. It was really going to be about signal over noise and consistency at scale.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that you taking that a step further and really taking the time to learn was super important. How long did
Yeah.
that take you?
Uh, we've been doing it. We did it all year. On the employee side, it's this constant wheel that keeps going. We have innovation challenges. We have hackathons. We're constantly looking for ways for our employees to tell us what things they need and ideas that they have to use automation and AI in solving some of those problems. So for them, it's an ongoing thing. With our customers, it was a set project of about 3.5 months where we really focused in on identifying customers within those segmentations, and then um, yeah, a lot of interviews, a lot of conversations, and then sort of see where the results took
Was it
us.
more of like an open-ended conversation or was it a structured interview with your customers? Like how was it a survey? Just curious how that.
Yeah, yeah, it was not face to face. Sometimes it was face to face actually, but a lot of times it was over like what we're doing now over Zoom or Teams, and um, definitely structured, but that did oftentimes lead into more to less structured conversations, as you can imagine. Listen, we knew what we wanted to talk about. We knew how we could help guide them to helping us understand where their chores were in their business. But from there, it was who knew where the conversation was going to go, and so it became a little bit of both.
Yeah. That's really interesting that you did it in a structured way. I think you get the best results when you do it that way. And I'm just curious too, because customers don't always tell you the truth, right? They're worried that
Yeah,
they're worried that they're going to, make you feel bad or, give feedback and you're going to be upset or offended. Like, how did you manage that conversation?
yeah, no, I think it was really a seek first understand is the way we framed it, and to the benefit of the customer, we wanted to demystify for them what AI meant and what a lot of these buzzword soup of the day type things they hear out in the multiverse were things that were concerning for them. And so more than anything, we just wanted to allay fears, educate, help them understand what it was we were talking about, and then just relay it back to the way we service them today. And that we were just trying to evolve that use the best and breed tools and systems and processes and workflows out there to make their lives easier, not only for themselves, but also for their customers. So, in ways in which they could utilize AI and automation and whatever they did with their customers was another thing that we consistently want to educate our customer base on, because it's not just about them. It's about how can they look good and do good work for their own customer base.
Interesting. I think that was a really big golden nugget that you shared because I didn't even think about, framing it in that way, but rather, how do you help them be successful? I think is the position that you took, which I think allowed them to share more about how can you help me? And this is, these are the challenges. So that was really insightful. Was there a moment when you realized this isn't just a tech shift? This is really going to be a people and culture shift and what happened? Was there a specific moment or did you just kind of always have that feeling or intuition?
It definitely was validated. It's been validated consistently throughout. I think the big thing here is going to be culture is where this breaks down. And or is successful or creates a successful situation and event. There's initially, I think, a little bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt as it relates to what does this mean for me? Are companies trying to get rid of my job? They hear all these things in the news, and there's a lot of ways out there related to this. When the first automation pilot quietly eliminated hours of manual ticket triage, the reaction I think was interesting. It wasn't celebration, it was silence. Which told me that it wasn't just a tech rollout, it was a trust rollout. So people were asking, okay, this is good for me. It removes friction. It moves the low hanging fruit work, the stuff that I don't even want to do as an employee. It moves that to automation and AI. But where do I fit in next? So
Yeah.
from there, it was just about having real conversations with our employees about what we were really trying to do. And the way we positioned it was we really saw AI and automation as a way to humanize our work with our customers more. Because if we could automate the simple things and we can augment the simple things using AI, then it allows us to retool, reskill our team and get them more consultative with our customers so we can do much more interesting work and really help them in the areas of identifying their chores, understanding what their processes are, things that MSPs typically don't do or historically haven't done. They've been more focused on the infrastructure side, help desk, cloud, security type things. But now, if you can uptool and skill your employees to the point where they're having consultative conversations with our clients, where they can now talk about how AI will help their customers, that became a lot more interesting. So it was less about using AI to remove humans, and it was more about using AI to humanize the work that we're doing with our customers in a more meaningful, consultative way. So from that point forward, I think we then were able to then lead with role evolution, skill evolution, and not just focus on automation velocity.
Glenn, I feel like you took the words out of my mouth and you said it beautifully. We are really looking at how to serve our customers better, help them serve their customers better, how to be more effective and efficient, right, in our employee base or in our workforce, and actually start doing more of the work that matters most versus the repetitive or administrative or to do
Yeah,
lists. And I
yeah.
really think that that is just a winning strategy where a lot of companies and executives are thinking more about how do I, get rid of headcount and like, make my bottom line like a little fatter. And to be
Yeah.
fair, I think that that's a good thing to be thinking about how to make more money for your stakeholders, but it's the how you get there I think is a misconception.
And even though you might be able to cut headcount, there's lots of different ways you can do that too. You don't have to just you don't have to cut the physical headcount. What you can do, every company has attrition in their employee base. So instead of backfilling, you just don't backfill maybe in some roles. So it's not like you have to lose people in those areas. In the perfect world, you're reskilling people and you're repurposing in more interesting ways that they like to do anyway. But in the case where you're actually able to eliminate roles, we haven't had a riff. We're not going to have a riff, knock on wood. I don't think there's any situation where that's a requirement, but it does mean sometimes I don't have to backfill roles that are leaving voluntarily on their own. And that's the same impact.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways to do that, and when it makes
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, 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 absolutely.
I wanna know more about, like, what was the biggest fear that you heard from employees when AI entered the conversation, and how did you really address that? And maybe before you answer, maybe it makes sense because some of our listeners don't know exactly what Integris is and what you do. So if you wanna go ahead and give context to the business and then talk about, the fear that you had addressed with employees.
Yeah, so Integris is a national or a transnational managed service provider, and we support a very particular client profile around the upper end of the small SMB space. And we're everything to our customer from an IT perspective. So they for the most part outsource all of their IT needs to us. So we take care of the users, we take care of the devices, we monitor the environments, we provide our cybersecurity and various forms of security. We manage cloud environments, both physical and on-prem and private and public clouds. And then we are increasingly doing more on the unified communications. We're increasingly now delving into this digital state where we're diving into the data, we're diving into the automation, we're diving into the AI, we're diving into application layer more. So customers look beyond just the device and the user and the help desk and the normal things you would get with a managed service provider. And now we're able to provide more of that consultative relationship building with the customer where we're focusing on outcomes and we're able to really understand what our customers need in a vertical sense and help them on the infrastructure side, sure, but also now on the data side, where we're providing business intelligence and reporting and routing and data lakes and a way for our customers to utilize this ecosystem of data that we all are now in. It's not just our customers, not just MSP customers, but we all our companies are basically data companies now because the amount of data that we have is unbelievable. So it's what you do with that becomes more important. That other stuff becomes a little bit more commoditized. So in our world, the biggest fear from employees was, I don't sell widgets, I don't sell things. What I sell is the time of my people and their knowledge and their skill. And so everything we do is in that nature of consultative support to a customer. So their real fear wasn't just about job loss, although we were talking a little bit about that a few minutes ago. I think it was a lot about relevance. And again, like I said before, I think we addressed it very directly head on. We committed to reskilling them. We showed them career paths into higher value roles.
Hmm.
And then we highlighted success stories. So when we saw things be successful with people, a lot of things that our own people came up with as ideas, we highlighted those people. We identified and highlighted the people who grew with automation, didn't go away with automation, they actually grew with automation. The message, I think, became very clear with our employees that AI handles tasks, humans handle judgment. They handle relationships, they handle the strategy and the clarity, I think, certainly reduce the fear dramatically. And I think in any situation, clarity is your friend to the degree. It's not always that you're going to give the news someone wants to hear. It doesn't always have to be good news. But I think if you're clear and you're committed to addressing things directly, then all things are solvable. And in this particular situation, it became really clear that we're not trying to lose people in the process. What we're trying to do is upskill our resources. And that clarity, as I said, I think reduced a lot of the fear dramatically.
That worry was really around, am I relevant or is my skill set relevant?
Yeah, and how do I remain relevant if things are changing? And I think everybody recognizes that technology can do more, and that's okay. I think once we all admitted to each other that that's a good thing for all of us, then it was a matter, and it's going to continue to be in this conversation. It's not like it's all been solved, but I think you just continue to have this constant communication around. Well, let's maintain the relevancy by upskilling you, by showing you more career paths into higher value roles, all the things we just talked about, and so that line of communication's very transparent and it's ongoing and it's very honest.
Yeah, that transparency I think is really key because and I wanna actually ask about, how did you actually get there? I mean, I know that you've talked a lot about we've had the conversations with employees, and not all your employees are gonna really believe you, they're gonna say, "Well, I can see the writing on the wall, once this is being implemented, my job becomes, 50% relevant," right? So, how did you really get that trust with employees?
The same way you always do, which is you gotta walk the walk,
Yeah.
right? And so initially it's a lot more of expressing the vision and the goals and talking the talk, right? And talking about what we want to do. And then I think you have to prove it out. And so the good news is, like I said earlier in the conversation, we've been going at this for more than a year now, actually going on more than a year and a half in terms of when we started this journey. So in those initial conversations with our employees, because we saw this coming, and we were really excited by it. And so I think over the last year and a half, not one of them can say they lost their job because of this. Not one of them can say that we're not creating more opportunities. We're growing the business, and we're always looking to upskill our team. And so I think the proof is in the pudding. And a year and a half later, I think more and more people get on board, and I think it's less noise than it's ever been. I think we're all now just leaning in and having the conversation about what to do next, and we're no longer talking about how does this affect me? Not as much anymore, because I think everybody trusts that we're really trying to keep all of our people and grow our people. In our business, like I said, we don't sell things; we sell time, skill, which comes from our people. And yes, we're going to automate and we're going to AI a lot of things, but when we lose people, we lose customers. And so it's not in our best interest to lose people. So it is in our best interest to retrain, and it is in our best interest to upskill. And the proof's been in the pudding. So how do they believe it? They've just been seeing it happen. And as like anything else, you see enough examples, you
Yeah,
believe it.
I think walking the talk, for sure, I think allows people to build that trust with you, especially you as a CEO, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
not just their manager, not just their manager's manager,
yeah.
but yeah, you as a CEO, I think makes a big difference. Can you share a specific story where automation changed how someone's role worked, and then how they reacted once they saw that impact?
Yeah, so I can think of a few. I'll just give you a few. Lots of our engineers used to spend hours and hours on repetitive patch validation. So when an alert comes and we're monitoring a device, alerts come in, or a patch has to get done, and a human used to have to do that. We were able to automate a lot of those tasks so that it'd be able to self-heal, and in the patch situation, it'd be able to use automation to patch various devices and environments. And by automating that, it then it meant that the person didn't have to do those things. So automation then took over. 6 months later, some of these people are leading different parts of the business. One in particular, he's now leading client strategy discussions on security posture and modernization. Others are more focused on the cross sell upsell within our base. Some are now taking roles in other parts of the business from a vertical perspective. So they've been able to evolve. And the one person that I was saying that just took over the client strategy discussion, he says, I feel like I'm using my brain now more than just a checklist. I'm not just doing patch validations, and I'm not just doing monitoring alert checking. I'm actually using my brain to do something that's really interesting and fun for me, but also beneficial to the customer. And when you hear enough of those statements and conversations, you're doing it right. And those are super validating for me, as well as it hits my heart in the right space to see the satisfaction of your employees, and to feel them growing within the business. So that's one example of just many of things that we've been able to automate. We've created I think 130 automations for internal usage in the last probably 9 months, and thousands of hours. We're using it to validate documentation. We're using it to create knowledge. We're using it to help us in our audit process with some of our customers, which used to take hours and hours of someone time. It can be done in minutes, which then allows them to do other things that's more interesting to them. So there's lots and lots of different, examples we could talk about for sure.
So how do you know you have done 130 automation? How are you tracking these changes?
Yeah, so if you were talking to my CIO right now, he'll probably be able to give you the exact
Right.
number. My guess is it's 136 or some number, or
Yeah,
142. It's more than
yeah.
130, but he knows specifically how many, because his team is the one that went looking for the chores, that has these hackathons and these innovation blitzes with the employees, and they document every single automation or every chore that's been identified. And then their job is to identify what the ROI is for each of those problems that they identify. And then based on the best use of our automation engineers' time, that gets determined what automations get created. And so we know specifically how many automations we've created, just because we've been very purposeful about identifying the chore. Then we've been very purposeful about identifying what the ROIs are for those various chores. And then we then stack rank which ones are the most appropriate to do first. And those are the ones we start with. And, we're writing automations probably on a daily basis if you were to talk to him. And
There's not a lot of patience that people have to do that, and I wanna highlight what that actually means, to be patient enough to not just identify, but track, and then move forward again and track the ROI of what that changes. I think so critical, so important, and it is slower than just plowing through and changing things, but the fact that you
yeah,
do it, I mean, I'm sure you're seeing the ROI of just tracking everything the way you're doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually the quickest way to do it in many ways. In a You're right. It's more work. It's quote unquote slower, but it's a faster way to real
Mhm.
impact, because the worst case scenario is you just start automating whatever anybody brings to you. And you could automate something that someone brings to the table, but if it doesn't have a one to many use case for it, and you're only building an automation for one instance, for one person, one thing that they're doing, then there's not a lot of bang for your buck, right? And the ROI isn't there. So you actually do have to slow down a little to make sure you gather all of the chores that are out there, and then slow down a little to identify which are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck in terms of effort and time. And then it always translates eventually into dollars, so that you know that when you do build an automation, it's not just that one person gets to use it, 100 people can use it because it affects 100 people, right? Versus one person brought something that makes their day irritating, and we build an automation for that one person that doesn't have a huge overarching impact to the business. So yeah, it's a little more methodical, but it actually means that you get to a better result faster.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. When did you see tangible business results, whether hours saved, margins improved, or growth acceleration? Like, how did that change the organization's mindset? How long does the change have to take? And I'm sure I guess it varies, but maybe what is the range in which you're able to say, I know that this automation or this change is making impact to the business?
Yeah, so each automation is tracked for its usage and its telemetry, which is great. So we have real-time stats on how much any of those are used and the impact that it has on any particular process. Um, it's like money, right? It compounds. So the more automations you build, the more time you save, and it just grows and grows and grows and grows. And the more time you're able to save, you can then use better in chunks in other areas. And so, yeah, it's a little slower in the beginning, but it happens actually much quicker than you think. 2025 was a phenomenal year for us on the margin and EBITDA side, in part, big part is because of the time that we were able to leverage more effectively in the delaying in backfilling and hiring. I mean, we were able to utilize our existing headcount more effectively, and to better satisfaction of our employees in doing so. So yeah, it's really, really fast. I mean, an automation can be deployed once created tomorrow, and then it's just a matter of training people on it, and then it's a matter of educating people that it exists. Um, because that's the other thing I used to tell my CIO is, "You can build all the automation in this world, but if people don't know where they are and they don't know how to use them, what's the point of having them?" Right? So, there's as much effort that goes into educating and training and sort of prophesizing what that all those automations are so that the team can leverage them
Yeah.
effectively.
Looking back, what would you tell a fellow CEO standing at the beginning of this journey who wants AI to create confidence and not fear?
Yeah, I think we've touched on it all already. I think my direct feedback to them would be, don't lead with the tool. Don't lead with AI. Lead with clarity, right? Lead with purpose. Lead with good communication. Be very upfront and honest about what you're building and why you're doing it and how that impacts the employee and the customer. Invite them into the process because clarity is how people grow. Clarity is how you remove friction. And if your people feel safe because of AI, not threatened by it, you'll move much faster than any other competitor will that's chasing the tools. I firmly believe that AI, in my world, more than any, is a trust journey that's often disguised as a tech journey, but it really is a trust journey. And I think that that all stems from and can only be helped by good communication and involving and purposely driving culture. So your very first question at the beginning, the answer was culture. And I think throughout all of this, it's always going to be culture. It's a trust journey, not a tech journey.
Yeah. Visit us at leaderbook.ai. Your support as a subscriber means the world to us. So thank you for tuning in. I'm Felicia Shakiba. Let's connect on LinkedIn.